I had been freelancing for 5 years and I was getting some level of traction, but there was no consistency, and that's really what I was missing. So now I am a dental marketing agency owner, and I was thinking, can I really be doing this for the rest of my life? Operating a camera, chasing clients constantly, trying to find a new project. Through speaking to yourself, it was clear that okay, I really need to niche down. The accountability of also just making decisions. I think the main thing stopping me from growing was not having the confidence to start charging, more premium rates for my work despite providing a lot of value. The focus isn't to maximize income for a single month.
The packages and the pricing. How does it look now compared to when you were doing it previously?
Since working with yourself, it's essentially doubled. It's gone from £800 batch of video content to now it's, £1,600. Before we were working together, like I said, it was just all over the place. 1 month I would have 1K in revenue, next month I would have 4K in revenue. It was like, how am I possibly going to have a sustainable life doing this? Since working with yourself, over the last 4 months, we've hit 5K consistently. And then the biggest win was when we had a 7K month in December. That's now the new normal. I just feel really, really focused on what I'm doing. I no longer identify as a videographer. I see myself as a business owner, as an agency owner.
So today I am extremely pleased and happy and honored to have Jack join us today. Jack was one of the students who came onto the program, and he executed it phenomenally, if that even is a word. But today just literally having Jack on to explain how his story went through the program and what the realities were like before he joined and how things look for him now. Jack, if you can, just give everyone a quick intro. What does your agency look like today? What's the projections looking like? And how have results been since we started working together?
Sure thing. Thanks for having me. So first off, previously, before working with yourself, it was really, I had been freelancing for 5 years. I'd been working in a bunch of different niches, a bunch of different industries, and I was getting some level of traction, but there was no consistency. And that's really what I was missing, was continuous work coming in and out every single month. And that's really something we were able to change. So now I am a dental marketing agency owner. So I help dentists acquire more patients through organic social media content.
Nice. So that's Jack now, okay? But rewind it a little bit. Who was Jack and where was Jack in his journey before we started to work together?
Mm-hmm. So before meeting yourself, I had tried a variety of different niches, whether it was recruitment, it was fashion, I had my own podcast, I was just kind of doing everything. And like I said, I was gaining some traction in some of these niches. For example, in fashion, I was getting quite a lot of work. I even got an opportunity to work with Adidas. So there was these great opportunities. Wow. But then that would be a really good month, a crazy month. I'm like, wow, this is a breakthrough moment. I've just worked with Adidas. And then the next month, it would be a ghost town. So and I was thinking, can I really be doing this for the rest of my life? Can I spend the next 20, 30, 50 years operating a camera, chasing clients constantly, trying to find a new project? And then through speaking to yourself, it was clear that, okay, I really need to niche down and be selective. The accountability of also just making decisions, because another thing I was doing was I was reading all the books. I was watching all the podcasts, watching all the Alex Hormozi videos, but I wasn't actioning anything really. I feel like it was all in my head. And because you've got all of these different pieces of information, these sources telling you essentially contradicting information, I was then deciding not to do anything. I was just stuck. So that was a huge thing from yourself, was just holding me accountable, being like, Jack, remember you said that you were going to do this? Let's just stop overthinking it and let's just do that and see what happens. So that was huge.
Yeah, I still remember when you were explaining the first call we had, and you were explaining how you've been jumping from niche to niche, and then to see how you've become the authority in the dental space you are in now is just day and night transformation. How how was it? How did you find it when we decided to, double down on the niche that you're in now?
I think it immediately felt like the right decision, and it was something I had been toying with for a
Hmm.
while. And that's again when I go back to the accountability was huge because it was something that I was sort of debating with myself constantly. So for you then to come in and say, "Yeah, Jack, what you were thinking was the right idea.
Yeah.
Let's go and do that. Let's double down." And then immediately, sort of, we hit the ground running. We immediately flipped all of my internal marketing, my positioning to Jack's now the dental guy.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And it was helpful that one of my previous clients, who is still a client, is Clyde Monroe Dental Group. So they're the leading dental group in Scotland. So that was my introduction to dentistry. So I
Yeah.
already had quite a lot of social proof from that one dental group, which gave me
Mm.
a lot of confidence because I thought, hey, if I can add value to what they're doing, they flew me out to Frankfurt, Germany to film with them. It's like, okay, they definitely value my skills. So other dental practices will too. So it was good because I already had a lot of that social proof, that case study to use. And then it was just a matter of applying that wide to a variety of different clients.
Yeah. I mean, when when you get to that situation where we analyzed your current your position then, so your strengths, your weaknesses, and the opportunities, when you specifically mentioned that yes, there is that experience there. Now it's just a case of how can I expose more attention to what I have done to that particular client. I want to work with more. What was the main problem you were facing when you kind of came to me and said, you know what, this is what I'm facing. This is what I need help with. What was that one bottleneck you would say?
Mm. I think the main thing stopping me from growing was one, not having the confidence to start charging, more premium rates for my work, despite providing a lot of value.
Mhm.
Because there was a lack of inconsistent income, I
Yeah,
was worried constantly, well, I can't bump up this price for this client in case they essentially shut the door on me and say, no, he's too expensive. So by then, doubling down on the niche, developing my understanding, and like attracting more and more clients, I then had the flexibility to move forward. And something we spoke about very early on, actually on our initial call,
Mhm.
I really stressed to you that I'm not particularly, the focus isn't to maximize income for a single month. Like I was so focused on, no, I need 3-4 months of consistency
Mhm.
because that's how to build a solid foundation. There's no point. We could get to 20K in a single month, but if next month we're back to, a ghost town, it's achieved really nothing in the
Yeah,
long term. So that was the huge transformation that I've gone on, is from totally inconsistent income to now reoccurring income consistently
Mhm.
every single month, to the point that now I'm working with other freelancers, I'm bringing them on. And the idea of building a team, bringing people on full time isn't a million miles away. This is
Mhm.
something that's actually foreseeable down the road.
It's the reality now for you. So then, with that as your goal, let's say on that first call we had, with your own objectives and your goals. So then, what prompted the decision to say, you know what, I'm gonna, I want to bet on myself. I'm gonna take that action. I'm investing, in the program, in yourself. What prompted that decision to do that?
What prompted the decision to come onto the mentorship with yourself was certainly some of the case studies I had seen
Mhm.
from your profile, particularly with Joe, who also worked within the dental niche,
Yeah,
and he's been doing fantastically. And then also when we spoke, just actually feeling like you could bring me to that next level, you would hold me accountable, you have the wisdom to bring me to that next level. And then just realizing that, there's delayed gratification in these things. You've got to spend money to make money.
100%. 100%. I agree. That's with anything in life, I guess. Like even when you go to the gym, like you want to get to your shredded six pack, 2%, 1% body fat. You don't get there by just going in and expecting to, even if you're not a gym goer, then you can't expect to get that goal, and you're just going to end up in the same loop over and over again unless you kind of, put the reps in and invest in whether it's a meal prep, a PT, all of these things, and you can get to that goal at a much quicker rate. Um, I want to touch on a bit more about the transformation specifically, because I really love the journey that we had, or seeing it unfold from when, or your story of jumping from the niches and then deciding to double down, and then how we kind of progressed to the point you're at now, which I want to get into later. But I want to touch on the first few things we worked on. So if you remember, do you know how we got to creating that offer you have now?
So how we got to creating the offer, which is essentially, that was the key to everything from that point on, was starting with the offer. Firstly, we had a great call. We had a big Miro board explaining everything, really breaking things down. What value do I provide? What deliverables can I provide on a month-to-month basis? And then realistically, what likelihood is that to then achieve results for the clients? And then based on all of those different factors, we were able to nail down sort of that single price, almost productizing the service. It's no more, let me create an individual quote for every single person that comes through the door. Let me spend a day and a half trying to crunch the numbers. Like now it's a really quick, short formula, and then the quote's complete, and then I can hand it to them. More like a Costco or a restaurant than a service provider that's having to spend hours and hours and hours writing a quote that's 50-50 on whether or not it's actually going to go through.
Yeah. So then how has your pricing changed since we perfected the offer, since you became clearer on this is exactly what I can deliver, this is who I can deliver it to, and then let's say the pricing we attached to that, the packages and the pricing, how does it look now compared to when you were doing it previously?
Since working with yourself, it's essentially doubled. It's gone from £800, a batch of video content, to now it's 1,600, 1,700. That's the range now I'm at, and then that's a monthly retainer. So that's really the offer if you stay with me on a month-to-month basis. If you want one-on-one, one-off projects, then that's going to be a different price. But essentially, revenue, the offer has just doubled.
So then let's go through the numbers. Where did you start when you were freelancing before we worked, and where are you now? And what has been like the biggest win you've experienced since we've been together?
So before we were working together, like I said, it was just all over the place. 1 month I would have 1K in revenue. Next month I would have 4K in revenue. Then it would be 2, and then it'd be back to 1, 1, 1, 1. Then it would be back up to 4. So it was just it was like, how am I possibly going to have a sustainable life doing this? Since working with yourself, over the last 4 months, we've hit 5K consistently. And then the biggest win was when we had a 7K month in December. So, and that's what I was after. When we initially spoke, it was, I need the consistency. So then to see that we've had 4 months in a row hitting 5K consistently, and then that's also peaking. It's not going the other direction. We're not decreasing. It's just, if anything, that's now the new normal, is 5K. And then we're hitting new heights, every other month too.
What does that do for you, aside from like the monetary gains we've worked together? How has it changed or impacted your life aside from the monetary side of things? Like, is there a change? Like, do you think differently? Do you act differently? Or is it, how is the Jack now compared to the Jack when we first hopped on that call?
First off, focus is a huge thing. I just feel really, really focused on what I'm doing, because also we've seen results. It works. It's just about now putting the reps and putting the time in, and it's just going to keep growing. And instead, like, there's no question in my mind, I'm not jumping around any more niches. This is my last niche. This is what I'm doing, which that feels fantastic. Going from the year prior, I felt like, I was just constantly switching and never making any real momentum.
Yeah.
Now I've got the momentum, so I just gotta keep it going. The other thing is definitely confidence. Just from yourself. When we did that, offer breakdown Miro board and you just said, oh, well, Jack, I think for the quality of work you're producing, for the value you're providing to your clients, you can charge this amount.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, if Newman thinks so, then that's, someone's you're giving your faith in me.
Yeah.
So let's see how that goes. And then it worked out. So confidence is a huge thing. Focus is another one. And also how I find myself spending my time.
Mm-hmm.
Because now I no longer identify as a videographer. I see myself as a business owner, as an agency owner. So it's about delegating work, prioritizing things, not necessarily always being free for that hour-long call with someone. And just really managing my time, building a routine so that every day at certain hours I'm doing the same tasks. Every fortnight I'm reflecting on things. And then there's just a real structure. And I just feel like that's a huge shift, because it's like, okay, this is how people who own and operate businesses work, opposed to freelancers.
Yeah, beautiful, man. Something you said there really stood out to me, because even after we've finished the program and you're still putting the reps in, you're still putting the work in, one thing that always stood out to me was how relentless you were with your content. Like that, since we've worked and since today, like I don't think I've seen a single day or two where you've not posted. And for me, that's like, I admire that, because yes, I see it, and then I'm like, you know what, that spurred me on to now get back on my content game. Um, how have you been able to maneuver from not knowing what content was and how content can actually bring in clients, to now, why is content such an important thing, or is such an important part of who Jack is, or what the agency you have built now?
Well, that was a big thing with us starting out initially, because there is a bit of a trial phase of, okay, what works better? Running paid ads and doing organic content, or doing cold outreach. And we were trying to figure that out. But then even the cold outreach, if I'm direct messaging someone on Instagram, they then check out my profile most likely before they then respond to my message. So then that creates a degree of social proof that I'm not some random guy who's now jumped into dentistry. It's, oh, this guy's posted over 50 reels just about my pain point or case studies that are relevant to me. So it became such a big focus from day one, really. You were like, we just got to totally shift your brand, your positioning. So then when people do look at your content, all they see is the dentistry. So then we did that, hit the ground running. We were posting like 7 stories a day. We were posting 2 reels a week. And we've just kept that going, really, keeping that up. Because now when people visit the account, they can just get nurtured throughout, so much content. And then a lot of people that now follow me, maybe they're not interested in purchasing my services right now, but because they're following, they're going to be nurtured over months or even years. So when the opportunity does come up, when they want to invest in their personal brand, or they go and buy their own dental practice, they're not thinking, who am I going to go with? They're thinking, oh yeah, there's that dental video guy that doesn't stop posting.
Well, that's all good though, because again, like, we're only creating that content for our ICP. If that random supermarket owner or restaurant owner comes onto the page, they're not the ICP you serve anyway, so they're not going to be interested. But again, like you said, with the dental clinics coming into your content ecosystem, watching the content, being nurtured, you then go through the phases and the funnels. It's just going to be as easy as it has been for you. What's the goals for you now then? Like, obviously, as we're recording, is end of Jan. Got another 11 months to the year. What's in the pipeline? What's the goals for the agency you've built?
I'm spending a lot of time on leadership stuff. That's honestly where I'm spending a lot of my personal time educating myself. Is, okay, how do I lead a team? How do I keep a team motivated and retain good talent? Because I see that as the next step, is essentially delegating a lot of the work to a team. So then I can think of the bigger picture, think, okay, 5 moves ahead instead of just one. Instead of thinking, I need to get this batch of editing done, then I can think about next week. Now I want to be thinking 6 months ahead. And to do that, I need to free up my time. And to free up my time, I need a team.
And then with yourself being able to achieve that, what will that mean for you? What does that look like? So when you've built the team, it's all delegated. What's the aim for where you want to be?
That's a good question. Well, once I have a team together and we're able to fulfill, clients very happily, and then it's just really about providing more and more value to the client themselves, because the more value we provide, the more they're willing to pay for it. And we just want to be growing that partnership with each client we take on. So it maybe starts with organic, then okay, now let's take on their paid ads responsibility as well. Okay, now they've got all these leads coming through the door, but they don't have the capacity to handle it. Okay, let's take that responsibility too, and we can be the call handlers, and then we can just set appointments directly into their calendars. So then all the dentist has to do is literally show up on the day and have a booked calendar and be like, thanks, Jack, you just sorted my month. I'm just going to treat patients because that's actually what I want to do. I don't care about all this other stuff. I just want to be treating patients. And then with that, you've got an enterprise, because you're a big partner involved in so many parts of the business. And then apart from that, once I have a team, it's about just creating a good culture, actually somewhere nice that people want to work, and being able to support team members and everything like that. Because I've always been interested in leadership and managing people. So that's really a role I'm quite enthusiastic to fill.
Excited to see, man. Excited to see. If someone's watching this video and they're thinking about maybe the niche that they're in now isn't the niche that they want to be in, or they pivot in, or maybe they're thinking, do I double down on one niche? What's the one thing that you would tell them? Because obviously you've been in that exact same position.
Yeah, I've chosen a lot of niches over the years, and the niche that I chose before dentistry was recruitment. And the big blunder that I made with choosing recruitment was that the problem that recruiters have isn't easily solved by content. So I essentially didn't have the key to their lock. That is the problem. I didn't have the solution. So I essentially didn't do my research. So that's the key thing that I would recommend for everyone to do, is research the industry, understand their pain points. What are they constantly struggling with? And then look at your own skill set. Say, for example, marketing. Does marketing then help this niche? For example, if everyone's selling a commodity, then one of the only ways to differentiate yourself is through marketing. Meanwhile, if everyone's always got a very different product from each other, they actually maybe don't need that much marketing because the product sort of sells itself. So it's really important to do that due diligence, and then also just understanding what, financially speaking, can this niche afford the service that I'm offering for the price I'm willing to offer it at. That's why you should never find a niche that their customer base is students, because students historically have no money. So you can't then go to a student and say, hey, here's my £2,000 a month monthly retainer, because they're living off of rent and pesto.
Well said, man. Jack, thank you so much, bro. Like, it's been an honor working with you and seeing your journey unfold. And hopefully this story will inspire the next wave of the freelancers and the agency owners that want to achieve what you have achieved. If anyone wants to connect with yourself, is there anywhere that they can do so? If they want to ask any questions or anything like that, or if you don't want that, that's all good. We can totally respect that.
Absolutely. Yeah, my DMs are always open. The best way to contact me is definitely through Instagram at Jack Darrer Media.
Sweet, man, amazing. I'll catch up with you soon, and I guess this is a wrap.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure, honestly. Thank you so much.
All the best. Catch you soon.